Hello, Speak to Success students. Thank you so much for starting your journey with us. We are so excited to support you along the way. And our first module in our first unit is called the Phonetic Basics and Vocabulary module. Now, I hope you have had the chance to go over the previous video on the alphabet system that is used in standard modern English. Now, we'll be discussing phonemes. The reason why I've included phonics here is that's our overall overall objective is to learn phonics and phonemes. And phonics is more general, but what we're going to learn about today is mainly phonemes. We're going to mainly talk about the phonemes in today's lesson. And in a future video, we'll discuss the difference between phonics and phonemes and more about that sort. So, without further ado, let's begin with this lesson. So, to start off with, I have listed here the Latin American script, or the alphabet that we have today in modern English that has been derived from the Latin American script. So within this notation, or this alphabet notation, which is the basis of English, we have 26 consonants. And before I move on, I have included each of these duos essentially are one letter. So this is one letter, the letter A. This is a review from the previous lesson, but this is another letter, this is a different letter, and so forth. But another review from the previous lesson would be that this is an uppercase letter, and this is a lowercase letter. So this is the lowercase, and this is the uppercase letter, which we use for several reasons, and that will be discussed further in upcoming videos and modules. Well, to move on with what I was saying, the 26 letters are right here, but 21 of these letters are actually consonants. And 5 very special letters are vowels. So let me just quickly write this over here. We have 26 letters in the alphabet. And from these 26, we have 21 consonants. And then we have 5 vowels. It's 5 vowels and 21 consonants. So do you want me to point out which 5 of these letters are vowels? Of course, I'll do that for you guys. So the vowels here are the A vowel, the E vowel, the I vowel, the O vowel, and the U vowel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vowels. So many of you may have seen this, or it might be completely new to you, and that's fine. A, E, I, O, U, and those are the vowels. The rest of these letters are all consonants. Those are consonants, okay? Now, I am going to quickly go over one more thing before we move on to the next page. Now, this is the Latin American script. However, there is another equally important script notation called the IPA notation. And this is stands for, and it's abbreviated for, International Phonetics Alphabet. It's the International Phonetics Alphabet. So in this alphabet, these symbols that were released and curated by curated under the International Phonetics Alphabet, and these notations, they were actually made, and the entire thing has been compiled by the International Phonetics Association. Phonetics. And when I put like a dash here and a dash here, it means I'm trying to, connect these two words. It just got cut off. Or here, let me just redo it for you guys. By the International Phonetics Association is what I'm trying to say here. Association. And they both actually use IPA as the abbreviated form. So that's just a little bit of background. And this association, this International Phonetics Alphabet System has begun since the 19th century. And it's just been revised. So even we have the latest modern 2020 version of the International Phonetics Alphabet. And it changes as the language changes. Now, this IPA system uses several notations and vocabulary. Vocab and notations. And this is usually called linguistic notation that we use in linguistics, which you'll get a small introduction to that in this video. But the main thing is that we'll be covering this vocabulary and notations in upcoming videos. So look out for that. But without further ado, let's begin with our lesson today. Now, as I mentioned, there are 26 letters in the alphabet. However, these are just the letters, and usually these letters are helpful when it comes to lexical, aspects of English. For example, morphemes, which we will talk about in a later video, as well as vocabulary and words, sentences, things like that. However, today we're going to talk about the individual basis of sound in the English language and in the pronunciation aspect of the English language. And the basic unit of sound, this unit is called a phoneme. I'm very sorry, and I apologize about the pronunciation. I think a couple of times in the at the beginning of this video, I mentioned I pronounced it differently, but the correct pronunciation for this term, which is the basic unit of sound in the English language, is phoneme. So there are 44 phonemes in the English language. And now this stems from 20 vowel sounds. Yes, we have 5 vowels, but we have 20 vowel sounds. 20 vowel sounds. And we have 24 consonant sounds. So we have 44 total. 20 plus 24 is 44 phoneme sounds. So essentially, we will be discussing the 20 vowel sounds and the 24 consonant sounds. In this video, I will not be discussing 8 vowel sounds because those are diphthongs, and those sounds we will be discussing in another video specifically for diphthongs. So, what is a diphthong? And you might have noticed up here, but I've written the word monophthongs, which are pretty similar. And the reason why I have made this distinction is because a diphthong refers to one syllable, but in that one syllable, you have 2 vowel sounds that are joined together. 2 vowel sounds that are joined together and they kind of glide into each other. And that's why a diphthong, I'm giving a little preview for the next videos, but a diphthong is called a gliding vowel sound in a way. And the diphthong, it's still in one syllable, but it has two vowel sounds combined. But in a monophthong, we have one syllable and only one, usually we're not combining two different vowel sounds. It's usually one vowel sound that we have throughout the whole thing. And that is what we call a monophthong. And another distinction is that we don't usually move our tongue to, we don't change our tongue's position to say a monophthong, but we do change our tongue's position when we try to pronounce a diphthong. So let's get started. Up here, I have two distinctions. I have a long vowel sound and a short vowel sound. So what do I mean by long and short? Well, long vowel sounds are exactly what it looks like they are. They are long, meaning the vowel sound, when pronounced, the vowel, or when you get to the vowel letter and you pronounce it, it sounds much longer than if you just if you pronounced it using the short vowel technique. So today I'll just be pronouncing these examples for you and going over these symbols. And I will also be going over the spelling options for long vowels and short vowels. We will also be going over many more videos to come. We'll be going over in-depth concepts related to long and short vowels. So this is a basic overview. These symbols right here, the ones such as this one, this one, this one, you might be wondering what those symbols are. Well, those are actually the International Phonetic Alphabet symbols for these phonemes, these 44 phonemes. But here we have only 12 for the vowel. Again, I will do the next 8 set of phonemes, which are the most famous diphthongs that are used in the English language. But let's begin. Our first vowel phoneme, and I'm going to point to it right here. We're starting off with this first one in the long vowel category, right over here. The sound that this phoneme makes is, repeat after me, E. E. For example, the word that I've used is feet. As you can see, here we have a double vowel with an E and an E, and usually this is one way for us to create a long vowel sound. And usually with 2 E's, this is always the case. Now, let's look at the second one. The vowel phoneme sound, the sound for this phoneme is oo, oo. And as you can see, here is the double O. And here's another way we can make this oo sound is through an E and a W. That is why sometimes a W is thought of as a vowel, because, not always, usually it's not, but in a way it acts as a vowel when it creates that oo sound, such as the word few, or the word, and we have another word here which I've written down. I have written down the word boot. So you can really see how stretched out and long this vowel section sounds. One thing to not get confused about is that OOs generally create long vowel sounds. However, there are times where it doesn't create a long vowel sound, and we will see that in this example right here in the short vowel column. But before we get to that, let's finish up with the long vowels. As you will see, English has a lot of exceptions. And we will continue to include Quizlet and other resources for you to use which will cover those exceptions, because these videos will usually cover the general rules, but English does have a lot of exceptions, and we'll make sure you guys can practice those exceptions on your own. And of course, we're always there to help. Our next example here is this the phenome or the sound O, such as in the words door or more. So I'm underlining the letters or the vowel letters that make that long O sound. Here you have a double O. So in most cases, a double vowel will create a long sound. However, I did show that exception where it doesn't create a long O sound, such as in the short OO sound. Before I move on to the next long vowel sound, I would like to just add a couple of more words or rules to a few of the other long vowel sounds. For example, for the long U sound, the U sound, I would like to add a couple of other words. For example, you can say the word we like to think of this as a rule here. Any word ending with not any word, but words that end with LE. For example, I'm going to write the word mule, or I'm going to write the word rule. These words have an LE at the end, and LE. Later we have a rule for the consonant LE syllable, but here is two words with an LE at the end, and we have a vowel before it, a U. So this makes this U we like to think that the LE makes this U, vowel U, a long vowel. For example, rule, that's another long U sound, or mule. Also, another example of this, it doesn't even have to be in the long U's, it could be with the long A, which we'll discuss in a second. Male. Male, we have an LE at the end, and this A is the long A sound. Male. So that is another example. Another word that I wanted to bring up for the long U sound could be the word truth. For example, here we have U, the long U sound, truth. So these sound very similar to the long U sound, or are the long U sound, and very similar to the sound made by double O. And as you will see, these variations in spelling, we will have a future video that is only on spelling, but it is what we call graphemes. So each phenome has its own set of graphemes, or various spellings, different spellings that make the same sound. So we'll discuss that in the future. One last word that I wanted to add to the long vowels here is the word beat. Beat here. So beat is the long vowel sound for the long vowel sound E. So we have feet, but beat is another one. And here it's another grapheme because we have a different spelling with an E and an A. And this is also something called a diphthong, which we will talk about in a later video. Okay, moving on. This next vowel sound that we're going to talk about is the long A vowel sound. It is the sound A, the long vowel sound A. Now, you might be wondering why I've written the word car here. Car is not technically the A in car is not technically a long A vowel. It is considered a long sound because we pronounce the word car as car, and the AR combination sounds very long, like R. However, this is something which we'll talk about later. I'm going to cross it out for now. It's not wrong, but I'm crossing it out for now because this is what we call a R-controlled sound. And this AR combination we'll see as one of the types of R-controlled vowels. So we'll discuss this in a separate video. But for now, what an long A vowel sound word should be, what a long A vowel sound word is, for example, is like the word bake, or cake, or make, or late. Other words could be the word stay, or may. So those are long A sounds. So I'm just going to add another example, say. And we'll discuss these different spellings in a separate video, spelling rules. So the next, or the last long vowel sound is the sound, such as in the word dirt, word, or bird. Now, I won't say this is the last long vowel. There is one more long vowel sound that we usually use in the English language. This is the sound I. Usually when we pronounce vowels for the first time, we say A, E, I, O, U. And here we do have the sound I, which is frequently used in a lot of words. For example, I'm going to just write these words up here for you to remember. For example, we could say the word try. We do use the sound, that long I sound. Or let's say we say the word, again, buy with the Y at the end. Or the word mind, or pine, or the word tide. Other words such as sight, or lie. Again, these all have different spellings because they're each composed of different graphemes. Such as in the previous example, I can be pronounced with an IGH, or with an IE, or anything of that sort. So those different spellings are called graphemes, but the sound, the phenome, is I. Okay, so those are the long vowels. I just want to go back and clarify one more thing for the long vowel section. In this example here with the O sound, this again, the door example and the more example, these two are R-controlled vowels, sounds. So the sound here, the O sound, is actually controlled by the R. So they aren't technically long vowel sounds. We categorize them as R-controlled vowels. So like previous, like what I did with the long A sound, I actually am going to just cross these out for now. And I'm going to tell you guys some some words that are actual long, or the long O sound. These words include the words coat. I'm going to spell it up here. Coat. Or the word so. And here is another example of the W acting like a vowel. Another example would be the word dote. Or the word toe. Words such as soul, soul, or even the word no. Those are all examples of long O sounds, or actual long O sounds. Now, let's move on to the short monophthong vowel sounds. These words are, or these sounds are ooh, such as in the put example or the good example. We did go over this before. Another word could be the word hood or book. Another example of a grapheme or a different spelling of a word, but the word does have the same phoneme or the same sound, just a short U sound. This word is, for example, the word wood. Wood. With the U here. Or it could be could. So these are examples of, auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. So these are considered functional words instead of content words. Content words being words we use in everyday life or in reading during when we read, or just words that have meaning to it. But functional words are just words that are used in grammar to support these content words in sentences when we read or in our everyday conversations. And we'll talk about functional and content words in more detail in other videos. Okay, so let's move on to our next short vowel sound, the sound I, such as in words such as crib or bit or lick. After that, our next short vowel sound is the sound in words such as bed or wed. Another example would be the word head, and I'm going to spell it out for you because it's not H-E-D, but the spelling for head is H-E-A-D with an E-A sound. So that's another grapheme or way of spelling the word, the sound eh. Our next short vowel is the schwa sound, the schwa symbol. So this is a very common English sound, and it's called the lazy sound, or in more formal terms, it's called the mid-central unstressed sound. So we will go over the schwa symbol in much more detail in a separate video, but I just want to go over the sound with you. So it is very similar to the short U sound that we're going to go over in a few seconds. It is very similar, and it does cause spelling mistakes in beginner learners. So it is a very relaxed sound, so it is very similar to the or the short U sound. However, the difference between schwa or the short U sound, we like to say that the difference is that the schwa sound, when we usually end with the schwa, or when we begin with the schwa, or when we end with the schwa, we leave off that ending sound. Whether if it's most likely it's a consonant, we leave off that consonant. We don't pronounce the consonant. When we begin with a schwa sound, we do pronounce the next consonant sound. And I'll give a few examples for that in a few seconds. However, that's what causes the spelling mistakes most of the times, is that lazy sound where we leave off another sound. And that is the biggest difference. We like to think that's the biggest difference between the schwa and the short U sound. So I'm going to go over a few examples of the schwa sound. For example, bika, that E sound, ago, stir, sailor, pencil, mountain. And I have underlined the AI, which tends to make that schwa sound, mountain, where we don't almost hear it. We hear an sound instead. I've also said another word, supper, here, with the ER, the making the schwa sound. Now, the schwa is interesting because it can cause dialects or different accents in different cultures. For example, a formal sound of accent, or those seen maybe in the Cockney accent in Great Britain, that usually is seen with making the schwa sound. We usually see that schwa sound in that accent. And we may see a more rounded schwa sound. This is an American accent, which may